Testing, testing. Very good.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to this afternoon of More Grand Prix. It's the Nations Cup this afternoon. So we've got teams representing Great Britain, Poland, Netherlands and Ireland. So a very exciting afternoon of Grand Prix Dressage. So we start with Great Britain. So Lara Gallop is a very familiar competitor. She's trained this horse herself, I know, up through the grades, up to Grand Prix. She's based at and runs and owns Summer House Equestrian Centre in Gloucester with her family. It's a great show centre down there. So first impressions is a good elegant picture as she comes up the centre line. Looks nice and straight from here and very good square halt. Yeah, lovely square halt. Very good start, which is obviously very important. First impressions for the judges. Good positive move off. What I like to see is as they do this first turn is the horse is really looking uphill and really ready to do its business. Extended trot is going away from us from where we're sat. Looks very straight and all the legs look like they're coming well off the ground, so I imagine from the side that must have looked even nicer. It's always really interesting when they go through the short side, even though there's not necessarily a mark for the short side, when you really get to see the horse's true uphill profile, hopefully, which is then it's always sort of sets the scene for the movements that are to come. So this very difficult movement, the two half passes. These are double marks, so they're very, very important. What we'd like to have seen there more is a little bit more bending through the body, a little bit more crossing, a little bit more cadence, a bit more height to the trot. But very nicely ridden and nicely presented. And
nice halt.
And a good balance. Yeah, it's very, like Ali just said, a nice halt then into the rein back, which you have to do 5 steps, 5 clear steps backwards. It almost needs to look like the horse is walking backwards. Again, there another extended trot into the passage. The passage is a very elevated, big, high trot, which Sarah's performing very well. The judges will be marking the regularity and the willingness. So they're unfortunately in the piaffe, which is basically just trotting on the spot. The horse fortunately lost the rhythm, dropped off the bridle a little bit and didn't look as willing as he has been looking so far, which would be a shame. But still, Sarah did a really good job keeping that going and saving the marks. These guys have been competing together for quite a long time, so they know each other really well. And that really showed there in the piaffe, where the horse lacked a little bit of confidence and just dropped off the bridle a little bit, and Sarah very nicely said, come on, we can do it, and then the horse just carried on. Of course, she will lose a mark or two, but she rescued quite a lot of marks as well. So just saw the extended walk there, where you need to see loads of ground cover and freedom and more importantly relaxation, which Sarah showed there, and then the collected walk into this very difficult transition into the passage, which was a bit late then, unfortunately. It wasn't quite at M, and the horse was a little bit long, but again, Sarah did a very good job recovering it. And this Piaf's much better than the first one. Much more willing on the spot, very regular. She didn't quite do enough steps, unfortunately. It's 12 to 15 steps, but what she did was very good. And then the passage into the collected canter, that's a very tricky movement. The horses can very easily hop onto the wrong leg there, so they've got to be very balanced and on the aid. Lara rode that really well. Now the 2-time changes, so she has to do 9 flying changes every 2 strides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They were very
Lovely.
good. Yeah, really good. Nice and straight, easy. The horse looked very on the aid. Now it's the extended canter. So it's a little bit slow to start, and could be a bit more uphill. Could have a bit more ground cover, but Lara would know her horse. Maybe she just felt today she couldn't go for a lot more than that because she wanted to, make sure he didn't get a bit too hot and a bit too excited. So she rode that very sensibly. It was still good, but I felt it could look like she could have got a little bit more. And then the tricky zigzag. This is double mark movement as well, where the horse has to go from one way 3 strides, and then 6 strides sideways change, 6 strides sideways change, another 6 strides side and change, and then 3 strides change, and then ready to do the 1-time changes on the MK diagonal. 15 ones are required. Very good. They look very mistake-free, very willing, very easy. Maybe could have been a tiny little bit more uphill for a really high mark, but she would still be scoring well for this at the moment. Now on coming back up the centre line into the canter pirouettes. So what we're looking for is the horses to sit on the hind leg and turn in balance and achieve between 6 to 8 strides. Lara made that quite small then. She went round on just 6 strides. And again, good. Good, well ridden, that was good. She rode those very well. And now it's a transition to trot, which is meant to be an M. That's a tiny bit late, but still she achieved it well. And then the extended trot across the diagonal. So the home straight now. It's a good turn onto the centre line. And then the last centre line, they passage to X, Piaf at X, which is always hard because obviously most horses have spent all their life halting at X. Then Piaf at X, 12 to 15 steps. Lara's coming into that now. Keeping the energy is important here. Trying to keep the uphill balance. Yeah, well done. She riding this really, really well. He's not being overly helpful in the Piaf, but she's doing such a good job at keeping in balance, keeping his concentration, and more importantly, keeping his confidence. And then the movement passage to the end into the final halt is always quite tricky because they know what's coming, they know they're going to halt. But that was a very, very good job. I should think Lara would be very pleased with that. She did a good job. She presented the horse really nicely. He looked happy and willing. A couple of little sticky strides in the Piaf, but she did such a good job of recovering the Piaf and keeping the mark. So it's a very, very nice test. Do you agree with that, Ali?
Absolutely. Really nice
Ali
picture all the way through.
Poor Ali can't get a word in edgeways.
But great. I'm loving listening to you, Matt. It's really great.
So the bell's been rang, and this very nice big striking grey horse comes up the centre line. Love his ears. He's got nice, great big ears. I always think I love a horse with big ears. I don't know why, but I just do.
Yeah, always welcoming, friendly face.
Yeah. So nice straight entry. Holt could have been a bit squarer. But nice overall picture, nice and straight. Going the extended trot, going away from us, so we don't get a clear view of it, but it looks very straight from here. And all the legs are coming high off the ground, so from the side I imagine that must have looked very nice. This horse looks real workmanlike. It looks looks like these guys know each other very well. Into the half pass, nice crossing, nice fluency. Could have a little bit more bend. It's a very, very steep angle. This is a very difficult movement, hence why it's double marks. Half pass this way looks, for me, slightly better, just because he's got a little bit more bend. Maybe the balance has been a little bit disturbed there towards the end, unfortunately. And into a halt. Very square halt, very good. And good rein back, good. Could have stepped backwards more, just dragged back a little bit, but achieved the 5 steps. So extended trot now across the diagonal. Again, like the last rider, a little bit slow to start. It's meant to start at M. It's still very good, but they probably will lose half a mark or maybe a mark for that, for not being accurate. Now into the Piaf. See, this breeder horse is well known for being very good at this. They sit very well. Good, shame, a little bit slow coming out. Didn't do a clear transition out into the passage, but the passage now is very good. Could be a little bit more active behind, but we're getting very nice height with the front legs. Then the extended walk, and again this is coming towards us, so we don't get a real clear picture of the over track and the ground cover, which means the horse is really reaching, taking cover in the ground, his hind legs stepping over the track the front leg leaves. So that's what the judges will be looking for there. Now the collected walk, where we're not expecting to see so much over track. They must only just track up when they're in the collected walk. And then as they come out this corner, this very tricky transition into passage. Horse picked that up very willingly, very nicely. Just would like to see this passage a little bit more snappy, a bit more active. Piaf just causing a few little problems, but the rider dealt with it well. Now he's picked now into a nice Piaf, and again a little bit slow out, which is a shame. So just will be losing a few expensive marks there in the transitions. Maybe this horse is just looks like he's just losing his strength a little bit and losing a little bit of confidence in those transitions at the moment, which can happen very easily in the ring. They can sometimes go a bit shy and go a little bit green and just drop off the rider's aids very, very quickly, and it's only for a second. When you're riding, it feels like a long time. And the twos coming towards us, as we said for the last rider, 9 twos, achieved those very well, looked very straight coming towards us.
And covered the ground really well, didn't they?
Yeah, good, yeah, and that's really important, because that's what you want to see, real nice expressive changes, really good ground cover. Extended canter now, again quite cautious, a bit late to start, like the extended trot earlier, a little bit late to start. When it got going, it was fine, but that again will lose a mark or two just for accuracy. And you know, in the Grand Prix horses, the judges are expecting them to see you go marker to marker as the test asks. The zigzag, again important zigzag, double mark movement, so double mark normally means it's harder to ride, but that looked like was very good, very correct numbers, looked easy. Sometimes that movement can look a little bit awkward to watch, And the ones, that first change was a bit short behind, where the both hind legs almost jumped together, which is a shame. It's very easy for that to happen when, the horse just loses a little bit of balance or connection, because it's easy just for them to lose the sequence in the hind legs. Nice canter pirouette, nice size. Horse was sitting very nicely and made the movement look very easy.
Yeah, he's a pleasure to watch, actually. He's lovely and expressive. And
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, and the horse looks under no pressure, just looks like it's enjoying himself. And the little glimpses in the transitions in and out of the PF Passage, I'm sure that's a strength thing and, a bit of a confidence thing. I sure see this horse in 6 months' time, that will all look pretty smart. Nice extended trot there. That was a nice clear transition into the Passage. Just got to try and keep the activity, keep the rhythm, and into this Piaffe over X. Yeah, that transition was better going into the Piaffe, and this Piaffe's better as well. Much good and very good out.
Yeah, lovely out.
Good. So already as the test went on, the horse is finding more and more confidence, which is lovely to see. That tells us the rider's, doing a fantastic job, keeping the horse's confidence, keeping his attention. Good. And a nice halt there at the end. Good. Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Very nice horse for the future as well. I imagine I can watch this combination grow with confidence. So 67.238 for that combination for that test. So, without those little sort of loss of balances and communication problems in and out of the first Piaffe and Passages, and a couple of those short changes in the ones, that could have been, nearly 70%. So definitely one to watch for the future, I think, that combination. Nice willing horse, very powerful and strong. Still hasn't got his full strength yet, I don't think. So that always in dressage can take time, a long time sometimes. It's a waiting game sometimes with these horses at this level. Sometimes they're confident in the ring and they do it willingly, and then the next time out they're not so confident. They think, you think, that's good. I cracked the transition into the Piaffe and coming out into Passage, and then the next time you compete them, they lose their confidence of it again. That happens, at the early stages of Grand Prix. It's not until they become really confident at it, and the older Grand Prix horses, you watch them do it effortlessly, but that takes a long time. So, but that last horse we watched, I think that would be quite an exciting horse for the future. So the first rider for the Netherlands now. Legend of Loxley, the horse is called. I presume that must have some, must be by Lord Loxley, I would imagine, or that breeding line. For those interested in the breeding, I'm not very experienced at the breeding, so it might not have anything to do with that. So forgive me if it's completely wrong. But very nice entrance, nice and active, straight, very good halt. There was immobility. When I say that, I mean the horse stood still, waited for the rider to salute. That can be quite rare at this level because the horses are so trained to, be on their game and willing and active and course, at that first halt, they just want to get going. So that's nice to see that first. That was a good centre line. I imagine she would get a good mark for that. We can't see the marks from where we're sat, but that was a nice positive entry. And again, the extended trot going away from us. It was straight. The front legs and the hind legs looked like they were coming well off the ground. So from the side, I imagine that was a very nice picture to the half passes. He's nice and up. She's riding very cleverly, just letting the quarters trail slightly, which makes it a bit easier for the horse and makes it easy for the rider to keep the rhythm and keep the balance. Very well ridden. But, you know, in an ideal world, I'm sure the judges would like to be seeing a little bit more bend, especially through the body, through the rib cage. But they're very steep angles, those half passes. They're very hard. So as a rider, you only can really ask for what you know you can get on the day. So she rode that very cleverly. Nice hole, good rein back. Unfortunately, a little bit of a loss of balance coming out, but the rider salvaged that very well. Lovely extended trot there now at the end. The second half was really good. The first half was a bit cautious, but this horse is very nice, active, bouncy horse. Looks like he really enjoys his job. He looks very confident. Dressage was okay. He tended to go what we call a little bit long short behind with the hind legs. It's normally a strength thing or just a confidence thing, where one leg's stepping under more than the other leg. So the judges unfortunately will penalise this slightly for that, but there's lots of good things going on. The horse is off the ground, he looks very willing, and you can just see that Dressage, you know, really developing into something really smart one day. Extended walk. Rider's always always a little bit anxious with the walk. It's very easy for the horse just to jog or drop off the bridle or scuffle a bit. You get a bit anxious because they know what's coming. This transition into Dressage, where they've got to be really on the aid and really willing. It's really hard to get the relaxation in the walk, especially in the collected walk, like we see there. Fortunately, the horse just a little bit of a misunderstanding, almost looked a little bit too relaxed in the collected walk, and then thought he'd have a little stop and a little breather, but then picked up everything very nicely though. Nice Dressage there, the rhythm was better. Piaffe, potentially that Piaffe could be really smart. You could really see that horse starting to sit, but he's blowing down his nose a bit, having a little sneeze. Sometimes that tells you, you know, they're getting a bit nervous, a bit anxious, and then they're unfortunately a bit of a toss of the head and a bit of a, I told you, Mum, I was getting a little bit nervous. And but she dealt with it very well. She kept herself together. Little just quick feel down the rein, just get his confidence back again. She just said to him, "It's okay, don't worry. No, I'm here to support you. Don't start getting your knickers in a twist." And they carried on and doing these lovely twos towards us. A little mistake there, unfortunately. He just looks like he's trying a bit too hard at times. He's sort of really getting into it and almost offering a lot more than he needs to. And then, of course, you just get the odd little tiny mistake, which is a shame because the overall picture is very, very good. She's riding him beautifully, very sympathetically. Good extended canter, lacking a bit of power, but you know he's a bit anxious, so that was very sensible from the rider, just nice and easy across there. She did do extended canter, but as you can tell, there's a lot more in this horse. But she's obviously focusing on just keeping his confidence, keeping him as relaxed and as chilled as she can. Good, and that was well achieved as well. Well ridden, very, you know, it's a very hard movement, especially on a horse that's a little bit anxious. Lovely big clean
great,
forward ones, yeah, very nice. This is where you can start to see this horse's full potential as he goes across there in those ones. I mean, there's a tiny little bit of loss of balance. It's very easy to get very, very nitpicky. You know, that's the judges' jobs. We're just here just to try and talk about the overall picture, really. Good, nice change there over X, nice and straight. Good, very good sitting there into the canter pirouette. Great preparation from the rider, and then of course she's rewarded with a lovely pirouette there. Very nice. And that's only really easy to do when the horse is on side. So she's, you know, she rode that very well. Final extended trot. You want to leave an impression in the judge's mind. It's how amazing your horse is, and I think she's achieved that. That's a very nice extended trot, nice and active from behind, uphill. Horse looked like it was really taking her. Final centre line. Again, a nice turn onto the centre line, and then a nice turns followed by a nice balanced transition into passage. Passage is looking a lot better now, looking a lot more regular behind. The horse is looking a lot more confident. And then nice into the piaffe as well. Yeah, good. Wasn't quite enough steps, but what she did was very good. Again, giving the horse confidence, not asking too much, not making him nervous. Lovely passage down now to the final halt. This is where they can sometimes drop off you a bit. They anticipate the halt. Good. I think she did a great job there. Horse was a little bit tense, unfortunately, and she lost a few marks just for a few little glimpses, but you know, nothing serious. But what was nice to see was the rider just stayed calm, didn't, you know, just nursed the horse round, and he got better and better as the test went on. Interested in that last halt, you see quite a lot is the horse stepped backwards into the halt and then looked a little bit disconnected, a bit unbalanced. What you really want to see is they step forward into the halt and under, so to get a higher mark for the halt, obviously, so the horse is nice and balanced and can stand really still, like she did in the first halt on the entrance with the centre line. But again, when they're in the ring and they lose a bit of concentration and they get a bit nervous, you just got to ride what you've got and just be happy they've stopped sometimes and they stand still and you can salute. But I thought she did a lovely job then, very good. Gave the horse a lovely ride. So a rider from Ireland coming up next, James Connor, Casino Royale. He'll be entering the ring very shortly. So the Irish rider James Connor coming up the centre line. It's good to see Ireland's got a team, a Nations Cup team here at Hickstead. Good, very good entrance, very good halt. Nice move off. Nice and straight. This horse hasn't got the bounce and the expression the last horse had, but looks very workmanlike, looks like a very willing horse. Going away in the extended trot, we don't get a great view of it, but look very straight. Normally if the extended trot looks straight from behind and the horse's hind legs aren't going wide, then that normally indicates it would be a fairly good extended trot, because the horse must be in a pretty good balance. Nice crossing there in the half passes. Nice freedom, looked quite easy. And again then the half pass this way. Pass over to the left again. Yeah, they're good. Very nice half passes. Nice cross in. The horse was willing. Nice bend in a good balance. It's a little bit of fussing going on in the horse's mouth. Just a tiny bit though. But that sometimes can happen when the horses are really concentrating and trying. They just wiggle their lips around a bit and things. Judges won't be overly concerned about that because the horse isn't opening his mouth and the horse has got a nice wet mouth and looks like he's accepting the bit quite well. Rider's just got to watch the horse doesn't get too short in the neck. Gets a bit short in the neck at times. Going a nice extended trot into the passage. Looks a little bit laboured. Fairly regular though. Then into the PF. Bit of a slow start. But the horse is picking up into a very nice rhythm into the PF now, and very nicely out. Good. Just for in an ideal world, if there is such a thing, we would just love to see the hind legs a little bit more under and a bit more active for the higher marks. Horse looks very relaxed in this extended walk. Could be out hacking, which is great to see, and judges will appreciate it. And this collected walk now is, do you keep the relaxation and risk not getting such a good transition into the passage, or do you try and keep the walk a bit more active and maybe a bit tense, so they just spring up into the passage a bit easier? That's obviously the decision for the rider. Yeah, so the walk was fairly relaxed, which then made the transition into passage not so easy to achieve. There was a slight loss of rhythm, and that's sort of following on a little bit there on the turn. Then that makes it not so easy for the horse and the rider to get into the PF. But the rider's doing a good job. He's picking up the PF well, and then it's come out nicely. So he saved the marks. He would have lost a couple of marks, but then he recovered the marks. And it's really interesting for those who can see the scores at the side, how quickly the marks can go up when things are going well, and how quickly they can drop down again. We unfortunately can't see the judges' scores on the side, but it's really fascinating to watch it, how 1 minute they're on 70% and then they can suddenly be on 64. No, that's a shame though. The twos are a little bit swingy. They're going a little bit left to right, which makes it harder for the horse to stay on the aid and to maintain the balance, which then unfortunately leads to little mistakes. So I obviously lose a few marks for the change of twos there coming towards us. Bold extended canter, he looks like he's going for it a bit. And the Chennai came back nicely and relaxed for a nice change at K, the end of the extended canter. So that in the zigzag then, the horse is willing. The rider, unfortunately, the counting has gone a bit wrong, so he should have done 6 strides the first one and he did 7. So that will lose half a mark. And the horse could just have a bit more balance and a little bit more bend. It could just look a little bit more organised. The ones. It's a very willing horse. This looks like it's doing what he can do well. He's doing to his best. There's a few little things he struggles with. That was a shame there. At the end of the ones, it was a mistake. The horse went, as we talked about earlier, went both hind legs together, so lost the sequence. And then right at the end, which is a real shame because he'd already done all the hard work. And the canter pirouette, again, what we talked about in the passage could just be hind legs could just be a bit more under, taking a bit more weight. The horse could just be sitting a bit more, a bit better this way. So you see the horse there take the weight and bend his hocks and turn, which then makes the turn and the curving line much easier and much more balanced. So if it looks easy for us to watch, it's easier for judges to give slightly higher marks, hopefully, if they're in a good mood. Again, extended trot. Hocks are a little bit out behind him, but the horse is really trying. He's covering the ground, he's active, he's willing. This guy's doing a good job. The horse hasn't obviously got the real brilliance we saw of the last horse, but he's really workmanlike, really trying. He's done a lot of very nice things. Had a couple of little odd little silly mistakes, which is a shame. But he looks happy and he looks willing. So now this last bit, sometimes this passage from the Piaf to the last halt can feel like you are going on forever. So you can feel the horses saying, shall we stop now, shall we stop now? And you'll say, no, keep going, keep going. Then you get to the halt and you're like, oh, we've got there. Good, and lovely halt to finish. Good, and the rider looks very happy. They both look like they had a good time then, and that's good, because it can sometimes, at this level, not feel such fun if you're having a tricky ride. So the next rider in for Great Britain, Emile, our own Emile Ferry. And so be interesting to see. Obviously all of the scores, because it's a Nations Cup, for those who don't know. I'm sorry for those are the ones, people who do obviously know, but for the Nations Cup, all the scores get added together at the end, and obviously the scores with the highest mark, the team wins. So this is the lovely, big, lovely, elegant horse going around the arena at the beginning. Looks a very nice picture. Obviously it's what's inside the boards that gets the marks, but on the outside it looks very, very impressive. Interestingly, this horse is owned by the Castlemans from Germany. They own Hagen, big show centre in Hagen. It's an amazing show centre. So a horse owned by the Germans, ridden by Emile from Great Britain. So there's the belt. Sarah Gallop already gaining us a great score. She kicked us off the first rider in 68 point something. I can't remember the exact marks. Remember, all these scores aren't completely accurate. Sometimes it can change when they get added up several times by all the scorers and things. But she's definitely gave Great Britain a great start, and Emile certainly having a very good start. I'd missed the first halt, Ali. Was it good?
It was very good, and a nice move off.
Good. As you can see, this horse has got just so active and so much scope and athleticism in its movement and in its just whole body. Makes it look very easy. Very nice half pass there, very nice bend. What we really like to see in those half passes is the front legs look like they're reaching across the school, just like Emil's showing us here. Very nice. I would imagine, yeah, effortless and lovely to watch. I imagine they would be scoring pretty high. Just kicks the arena a little bit there as he goes by, but you don't lose any marks for that, or just makes the horse maybe a little bit edgy, but good hole. Again with the rainbow, like we're seeing quite a few of them, the horses are dragging backwards. What the judges will really be looking to see is almost like the horses just walking backwards, where their feet come off the ground. They walk backwards in diagonal pairs, but sometimes with loss of concentration and a little bit of anxiety, you don't always get it like that in the ring, unfortunately. So this into the passage there. The passage was a little bit free, which then was made it harder for the horse to pick up the piaffe. Now he's just doing his business, unfortunately. So that was a shame, because he had his mind on other things. Emil did well then to sort of salvage what he could. And then nice passage into the walk, extended walk. That was a pity. It just goes to show how easily, for whatever reason, these horses, when they're in this environment, can just suddenly just look so fantastic and then just drop off the aid very, very, very suddenly. And it's often literally for a second or two, but as a rider, it can really feel like quite a long time. And you've got to get the horse back together, get them concentrating, try and rescue the marks. Walk sequence there, Emil's done, very well ridden. Very nice into passage. Very good. This passage is getting better and better as the test goes on. Let's hope he gets this piaffe. Horse just dropping off him a little bit. Just the horse looks like he just lacks a little bit of confidence in the piaffe at the moment. Luckily, he's being very cleverly ridden by Emil, but you know, I'm not sure of the age of this horse, but you know, maybe he's a younger horse, and just, you know, with some bit more time and a bit more confidence, obviously you could really see that piaffe developing into something quite smart. But unfortunately, we're not quite getting to see it today. And then the twos, 9 twos. So they fly and change every 2 strides, and they've got to achieve 9 of them, mistake-free, hopefully. Yeah, very well ridden, good. Very good. Very nice looking changes coming towards us then. Horse had lots of expression, lots of jump off the ground. Good extended canter. And Emil then went from M and has done extended canter to the marker and then change. And that's what the judges are going to be looking for at this level especially. They have to go marker to marker. They can't just start it when they feel like it and then build it up, do a bit of extended and then finish it when you feel like it. You've got to do it as the test asks, marker to marker. That's obviously for the high marks. But sometimes when you're in the ring, your horse doesn't allow you to ride it like that. You have to go with what you've got. Good. You can just see Emil's experience then. He rode that horse very well through that zigzag. Really helped the horse. And the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Very good. I'm showing off so I can prove I can count. But when I'm riding often, you forget how to count. It's very easy. It's so easy to forget where you're at. You get halfway across there and you think, oh no, how many have I done already? But it's quite easy sat here doing it. Good. He's given this horse a lovely ride. Oh, that's a shame. What a shame. Good canter pirouette then. Really nice. And then just came out and it was just a miscommunication. Just very easily done. It's just the horse had something else on his mind, and wires got crossed. That was a shame. But he's picked up quickly again. He's carried on like nothing's happened. Obviously the judges will not mark it like nothing happened, unfortunately, but very nice extended trot. Good power, good expression, a little bit muddled coming back there. It just looks like it's just sometimes just a little bit of communication problems between the partnership at the moment. Nice passage, good. Nice height in the foreleg. Just this piaffe at the moment is just a little bit green. Horse is a bit unsure. You can see you know, the horse is clearly going to be able to do it very well, but just at the moment, and quite rightly so and quite cleverly, Emil not asking for too many steps, not the full amount required to keep the horses confident. Little bit again, little bit of miscommunication into the halt at the end, which has sort of been the theme of the test throughout, but lots and lots of very exciting quality moments in that
looks
test.
like he's only 10, so
10, so a 10-year-old horse
building up
doing
to.
Grand Prix. I mean, that's young for a Grand Prix horse. So you know, the horse has got an amazing rider on his back, like Emil. Gave a horse a great ride for the future. Really, really cleverly ridden. Okay, guys, we've been very, very lucky to be joined by Pammy Hutton in the commentary. I think that's to try and see if they can shut me up, which I'm sure she'll be very successful at.
Well, I was listening to you watching this test, and that looked really unexpected's happened, didn't they?
Yes,
You know, you sort of felt it as a rider.
Yeah.
Like, where did the trot come from on the centre line? No warning.
Yeah.
I thought he had a really quite tricky ride.
Yeah, no, definitely. As Emil's experience really gave
It's a
that horse
lovely
a great
mare.
job. Yeah, really nice. Have you seen many of them, Pammy, yet?
Well, I've seen a bit of collecting ring. I stayed at the hotel this morning because not a lot of me moved after yesterday. It was,
wasn't it hot?
oh God.
Oh, I did feel for you guys riding yesterday. Wow.
Oh.
I was struggling just walking around, never no riding.
Well, they had a hose pipe for the horses, and everybody's very upset that they missed the photograph of my head under the hose pipe. But by God, it was hot.
Yeah. No, and that was what I really liked, was how the horses' welfare was so at the front of everybody's minds yesterday.
I have to say, Dane really has to be congratulated,
Yeah.
and all the FEI stewards. There's such
Brilliant
a,
job, yeah.
a fabulous lot, all working together. And apparently it was the best bit of welfare on the showground.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, he was brilliant.
So, are you going to make the introduction? Since I haven't got my reading glasses on, what do you mean I can do it?
Yeah, I
Matthew.
thought you'd stepped in.
No, I haven't stepped in, Matthew.
So very good entrance there, nice start, lovely square halt.
Well, this is Duarte. Have you seen this partnership compete?
No, not yet, no. I will have done in about 8 minutes.
In my very old age, I've always wanted one of these horses because they look immensely comfortable.
Comfortable, yeah. And always willing, aren't they? They always look like you
Yes.
never see them being naughty or anything. Well, I'm sure people have seen them, but
It's hard to see from, we're not at the side, we're directly behind that, but a little bit of experience would just want the hind legs, for me, I would want the hind legs to just be a little more active in that extended trot.
yeah.
With the right half passes very parallel. Any more bending, Matt, do you think?
Yeah, I think a little bit more body bend, a bit more bend through the rib cage. But they're very steep angles, aren't they? This one's looking better for me, coming towards us.
Yeah, but then the quarters are trailing. They are.
Yeah,
Honest.
yeah, they are. You're right.
So we got the bend, and
Yeah.
then we got the quarters
trailing. Yeah. There's such steep angles, though, aren't they? Very hard to get everything in place.
Well,
You know,
I give up now. I simply get in it and just pray to get to the marker.
But you think, oh yeah, I got the bend, and then like you say, the
3,
quarters trail.
4, 5, trot.
Good, and trot off there. It's got to be
It did.
immediate, that trot off, hasn't
Yeah.
it?
So now we can see the extended trot from the side, and for me, the front legs are doing the
They're really
extended
going,
trot,
but
but
the hind legs aren't.
the hind legs, and I quite like the frame to just open
A
1
bit.
centimetre.
He's got a big chunky neck on him, hasn't he? So it's sometimes they can look like a little bit like these horses are a bit sort of stuck in that shape, aren't they?
Well, I quite like mine stuck in shape. It'd be a great deal more helpful. A good rhythm.
Very
Super
good.
transition.
Lovely, yeah.
Fantastic transition. Very, very, very good piaffe and a good
out.
outward.
Yeah, I think that's the best we've seen
I'd have
so
to give
far.
that an 8.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. Well, I'm not
The
a judge, but
transitions.
yeah, I mean, definitely the best we've seen so far, definitely.
Look, we're not judges, but we're riders and trainers. I'd give that a high mark. So
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't even moan if the transition
and
mark was a 9.
it was very willing, wasn't it, and it looked effortless.
You see, I think it's really hard when you've not got a great extended trot, you haven't got a great extended walk, but there is absolutely, if it did all of that, it would then get a 9 for that transition.
Then,
You have to be so careful with a judge to cheer up, and then you can get depressed, and then cheer. I hate the 6s judges, don't you? 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and have another 6.
And then if you did get the odd 9 squeezed in there, you'd be happy though, wouldn't you?
You would just one.
Yeah, you need just one, just even if it was for the halt. Picked at the passage nicely then.
Yeah, I suppose.
This is this horse's highlight.
If
so
we were
far,
going,
isn't it?
it is, but I suppose there could be a little bit more activity behind, possibly. But look at that
That's,
transition.
yeah. And it's almost perfectly on the spot.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, very nice.
I find this transition a bit
hard.
a bit tricky.
Yeah, it is. So easy for them just to skip on to the wrong
Well,
leg.
it's just like. Ugh. I always pray the judge isn't there and say with the other side and I can yell canter. I knew I'd ruin your seriousness, Matthew.
No, it's good. I was just thinking I'm going to try that.
2s are coming up. Listen, I've got the test technique. A little bit, it could be straighter,
Could be a bit straighter,
and
yeah.
a little more forward.
But they're correct,
Possibly.
and he's fitted them in, and
Yeah.
there's no mistake. But yeah, and I think sometimes you see that, don't you, when they're not quite so forward, then they can swing a little bit.
I wish I wasn't watching this now, because it's going to ruin me from learning the Inter 2B.
Oh, that's a tricky test to
Have
learn.
you ever ridden them?
Yeah, it's a tricky test to do. They don't do that test in many shows, actually.
Well, I don't blame them.
It's a lot in it. It's a lot of stop-start. Halt on the centre line, rein back.
6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Look up. Why don't you look up, young man? If you looked up, he rides sensitively with a lot of feel.
Yeah.
Sit a bit straighter. I can't sit straight. Beyond hope. That was late
Yeah,
behind.
a little late change there. That was a shame. Again, though, like you were saying about looking up as a rider, when you go on that diagonal line, actually, if you do look up and you really look to where you're going to, it does help. When you're looking down, you can lose your line a bit, and then that's when the horses can then just make that little silly mistake behind.
Yeah. I was taught to look at something and ride at it like an arrow from a bow. Come on, keep the canter, keep the canter. Just could be a little bit more impulsion.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
And gets a bit too slow motion as he turns, and could have a tiny bit more bend as well. And this transition to trot, actually, you would think
A nightmare.
Yeah, it can
It's
especially
alright.
you think for Grand Prix horses, you think it should be easy, but actually it's not.
Yell trot. That
Yeah.
works. Mine are trained off the voice.
Yeah, but I bet your horses listen to your voice more than they listen to mine.
Well, who wouldn't? You know, from the husband to the horse. Onto his last centre line. They're very difficult. He's nearly gone into passage before the marker.
Before the marker, yeah.
And I watched that in the Inter 2 yesterday, and it's very tempting to take it before the marker.
Yeah. And of course the horses know at this level,
They
know
do.
what's coming, so they anticipate a bit, which is a nice thing. It's good that they join in and they anticipate, but for the judges, don't want to see it early.
I'll tell you
They
what,
want to
from
see
the
the
front,
transition early.
it just nearly sways a little bit left-right in that piaffe, but it could be getting tired. It's not as hot today, but it is hot.
Just muggy, yeah.
Pleasantly ridden.
Yeah.
That's the first time he's looked up.
Yeah. Good, nice hold, good.
Nice feel.
Yeah. Nice partnership as well.
Yes.
Because they know
Yes.
each other really well.
Does look good. There you are. I've completely put you off your stride now.
No, you haven't. It's great. It's given me a break. I have a voice at the end of it.
Peter Storr would tell you, never commentate with Pammy. You need to take Valium. It's difficult because, of course, a lot that are listening are experts, probably far better judges than we are.
Yeah, definitely.
I made it my line never to be a judge.
Well, it must be hard because you train so many people. So.
Well, no, I sort of got as far as candidate international or something, and then I wasn't sure I could sit still for long enough. No, I'm serious. You think I'm joking?
Actually, you think the judges in the box yesterday, though, in that
They
heat,
must have been.
They must have been sweltering, yeah.
One of them said, "Mrs. Hutton, you can have a little longer." I said, "Are you mad?"
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
then I thought, I oughtn't to say that to a judge just before I'm competing.
So that's a nice score. I think that's 69.343, so very good.
The higher marks do come for the Piaffe and Passage,
would have been
and
going well.
the zigzags ×2, and that was nice.
Yeah, and the first two half passes
Yeah, that's
×2. So we haven't been seeing the scores until now. So
Have you not?
No, they've only just
So have
started
you been
coming up on
guessing?
the screen. So we've just been guessing. But but I think that must be definitely.
Has that
up
gone into the lead?
Yeah.
Now, I can ask you, because you're younger than me,
And you just.
we've got this from a nation, okay? And I sat looking at the Premier League. I probably put it in this week's Horse in Hand or next week's. And I was watching all the colours that are coming into dressage on tailcoats.
Yeah.
And there was this very striking young man with orange everywhere. So I thought, good God, this Premier League's lucky. We've got somebody from abroad. But it wasn't. I waited a little longer and I thought, I don't know, do you not stick with British colours somewhere?
Oh, I don't think you should be asking me about fashion. I don't even
What
fit in
colour
my
do you,
tailcoat.
what do you have, yellow?
No, just black, as slim as possible. It doesn't work.
And then a little later on, I do hope he's not listening, I was watching the hats and somebody had these go faster stripes on the helmet. I thought it looked like a motorcycle helmet.
It's called fashion, Pammy. Maybe we just leave that to the young people.
I know, and then I saw orange stirrups and blue stirrups.
With diamonds on.
I just, honestly. Well, Matt, I lost a stone.
I know, yeah.
A stone and
you
£5.
did, I remember last year.
Look,
Yeah.
not bad.
No, it's not. That's what you need. Thank God you did before the heat wave yesterday. Riding in the heat wave. Oh, that was unfortunate start.
That is such bad luck.
Yeah.
Because they were a bit quick at the bottom. If there's an
Put the ball
organiser
up.
listening that could just say, do it a little more gently. Did just catch the horse unawares. They were a little sharp.
But she recovered it well. Just hope.
Yeah, but she'd get a very low mark for that at the start because you're supposed to enter in canter.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also the tension will get marked down. You want that beginning to be really on the ball, don't you?
You
really
do,
good.
I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Now, this has a lot of power. A little tight in the neck.
Yeah, a little bit.
Am I allowed to say that?
But
As
yeah,
I'm
I
watching
think
it
so. Well, that's what he was. So.
on the short side.
Yeah, and that we were saying earlier, that picture across the short side is quite important. You know, because I think the judges can really see the horse's profile, can't they? Which sometimes in the movement they're marking the bend and the balance.
I
and
used
the
to be
rhythm.
able to get my breath on the short side, so I now hold it. Try and sit straight. This horse has got a little bit of tension in him, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Which is just shown in the rein back a little
yeah.
bit. But I must remind everybody that it's very easy to sit on the side and criticise.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
And I'm luckily sitting next to a rider.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, it's a lot harder in there.
It's a hell of a lot harder, yeah. And they're so easy for them. They can drop off you for a split second and it can feel like 10 seconds.
Or they can go to explode and
Yeah.
you can feel that underneath you.
Yeah, yeah, and then you try and do what you can to keep the horse calm, which sometimes doesn't always help because then the horse can feel you backing off a little bit.
Or you can have one that goes above the bit and you're trying to wriggle it onto the bit. Or you can have one that sinks to Australia and you're trying to keep it
Keep
up.
his head up.
I mean, it all goes on, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it does. And often, especially these really good riders, these top riders at this level, you don't see half of the work going on actually. You know, they're very clever at trying to keep the horse in the right balance and the uphill balance.
Disguising it.
Exactly, yeah.
I used to be able to when my body was a bit stronger. Now I give it away.
Rubbish, God. You're still doing it, that's the main thing for me, God.
I know, I decided yesterday I was so chuffed with the way in particular one went. I thought, you know what, I'll die in an arena, I'll be quite happy. I've got a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Wow.
So don't get hopeful. I'll retire one of them this year, the Grand Prix. Right, now what do we think of this? I think that this is in trouble because I think he's quite tense.
Tense, blocking in the neck.
A he or a she is this? Have you noticed the sex? Please tell me.
It's a
Before
mare.
we all get told
Mare.
off.
It's a mare.
She is quite tight, quite tense, and not really letting the rider in. She's running ahead of her. She's going faster than she wants, so she can't half halt and then let her go and get on with it, is what it looks like to me.
And then that's why there's little mistakes here and there, which is a shame.
Because she's a nice mare, but she's not letting go into everything. See the contact?
Yeah.
Again, in my next comment in Horse and Hand, I actually write, you sort of, if you cut those reins, what would happen?
Yeah, that's a good way of explaining that.
And I think actually she'd join the show jumpers.
Yeah.
Quite smartish.
And probably, looks like the mare will probably jump really well.
Yes. Lovely quality mare. But again, she was running ahead to the right zigzag in her brain, and she's already wanting to go left.
Yeah.
So she's not letting the rider in.
Yeah, and then it's hard for the rider to keep the rhythm, keep the quality of the
And
canter.
she's definitely not letting her in.
Yeah.
She can't put a half halt in. She's sitting very straight despite all of this. So she's not, in my mind, she's not having an easy ride.
No.
You see,
Yeah.
the mare is ahead of her. And that's how the mare can then drop her.
Yeah.
So for me, it needs nice karma,
Yeah.
a night out,
Night out. Yeah.
putting in. See, she's very capable.
Yeah, very capable, very talented horse actually.
Really?
Yeah.
And the harder she has to work, the better. That's about the best movement she's done in here. But would you not think she's sitting on a ball of fire?
Yeah, she looks like a hottie, that's for sure. But you could see this developing though into something quite smart as she gets the mare. You can see this really developing into quite a smart Grand Prix horse.
Because she really moves, doesn't she?
Yeah,
But
she does.
she can't let go of the neck,
Yeah.
Stephanie, because it's pulling.
Yeah.
There, she's
Yeah,
pulling.
see it as yeah.
She's ahead of her.
Yeah. She's a feisty girl, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to pop her in the lorry to take her home.
But
and then she drops her, you see.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's, show jumping medalist told me that a pulling jumper will often stop at the last minute.
Okay.
And what they do is they pull, and then you can you take your leg
to
off.
lull you into a false
No,
sense
they
of
pull so your leg goes off them.
Ah, okay.
You imagine pulling like a train, you take your leg off.
Yeah, and then bang on.
And
goes
that's
brakes.
how.
Yeah,
and that's what this mare did, just going there.
Yeah.
Pulls like a train, and the leg comes off.
But she rode it very nicely, didn't she?
She
Very
did
synthetically.
really
Good,
well.
Yeah.
Look at the walk.
Yeah.
You could shoot her.
Yeah. She certainly doesn't look like a horse that you could tell too often. You just got to work with.
How old is she? She's really nice. We probably don't know that, do we?
2007. 7? 10?
Are we trying to do our maths?
Yeah,
I'm not very good at maths.
No, a bit older than that.
Oh, okay.
12, yeah, 12 or 13.
Well, still time to grow up.
Yeah, that's not old for a Grand Prix horse.
It isn't.
It's a very sensitive mare, but yeah, we'd love to. Can't wait to see her next year. I think she'd be quite something.
Mark, have a guess.
Well, it was some very good bits married with some, some tensions in the beginning. The mistake at the beginning would be very expensive. Yeah, 64, 65.
7th?
64, nearly 65.
we weren't wrong. We should smile at her.
Big horse as well, actually. Big
Yeah.
man.
Maybe we should be judging.
Might be a few people who might disagree with that rather than agree.
Me disagree with judges? Are you kidding? I don't disagree with judges.
No, you're
In particular,
the most diplomatic person I know.
are you on Facebook?
What's that?
Oh, come on, Matthew. You cannot get 68, 67.5 and 57 in the same class.
You can.
Well, I did. And I got slightly upset.
Okay.
Just slightly.
But you would probably. That's quite
Well,
a big difference.
because I think that 68 means quite good.
Yeah.
And 67.5 means nearly quite good. But 67 means hopeless. If you got a 57.
50, I was saying,
If you got-
67 is not so bad.
Sorry, if you got a 57,
Yeah.
you'd-
Yeah, you'd be disappointed.
you'd think you were
Yeah.
useless.
Yeah, especially, it's different if you come out of the ring sometimes and you're like, well, okay,
Yes,
that's going to be under
granted.
60.
Yeah.
I know I'm not even going to the scoreboards, I'm going home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody tell me what my score was.
Yeah.
But actually, if you please, and several
Well, I
judges
think
agreed
the
with
68
you.
was a tiny bit
Yeah.
high, but the 66, if I'd ended on, but come on, 57. Go
That's
home, Pammy,
That's a
shoot
big
yourself.
jump. That is a big jump.
So, yeah, I did get an 8.
I'm not taking sides, but it is a thankless task judging, isn't it?
No, I totally get
Only the
that.
winner's happy.
I
Second thinks they should have won.
No, I totally get that.
Last thinks they shouldn't have been last.
But I was perfectly judged yesterday. Everything was spot on the mark.
Where'd you end up yesterday? Did you please? Did you please? Were you
Second
pleased? Oh, brilliant!
and
Well
fourth.
done. That's very good.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
Even I fainted.
Yeah. And that,
I was
and that
top-
wasn't because of the heat.
I was top Brit. It
That's very good.
wasn't bad. It was a surprise to everybody. From my owner to my husband, who said what? To my son said
We are
no.
saying, what did the kids say?
Well, they thought I'd made it up.
Pippa had something to say about it.
Dane said, you mean you didn't get 47? Oh, you got to have a bit of fun
Yeah,
in
you've
this,
got
haven't
to.
you? You
Yeah,
really
it's got-
have.
It's such hard work
It's
for the
hard
horses
work,
and
it's day
the
in,
teams
day
at home,
out.
exactly. And you've got to have a bit of fun.
Just
with
as
it.
you get the horse there, it goes lane.
Yeah,
Just as you get there, you go lane.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh, here we go. So now for Ireland. Talking to Dane.
Right?
For Ireland. So,
This is Belinda.
yeah. So, the standings so far did just come up on our screen very
Who is in the lead?
very quickly, but then they went again before I even
How
had
good
time
is your
to read them.
eyesight?
My eyesight isn't that good to see the screen down there,
One.
and the sun's on it a bit.
That
I
is
think
hopeless.
Netherlands and
England second. That much
Yeah.
I saw. Which looked
So this
good.
is the last horse before the break. So
Well, you can commentate a little more on this because it's unfair. I know Belinda a little, although I've never worked with this
Okay.
horse. But you know, as I'm not perhaps the most tactful person in the whole of Great Britain.
I've seen Belinda compete this horse a few times at some at Hickstead actually at the last Premier League. I haven't watched her really closely, but she's a lovely competitor. And the Irish just seem to be getting stronger and stronger, don't they?
They are.
They're getting sort of a lot more people coming forward and definitely getting a lot stronger. It's great to see them have a team here. So it's a little, for me, so first impressions, horse is straight, a little bit unsteady in the contact. Very good square halt though. Nice willing move off. So I would think that would be getting a fairly nice start. Just a little bit just there as she turned through the corner as well, as she went directly past us. A little bit open in the mouth, a bit fussy, but more because of a little bit lack of balance and suppleness, I think.
It's all right. I will open my mouth.
Yeah.
I was learning. A little bit of lack of balance and suppleness. Yeah. Well, what do you mean by that? Because
Well,
I
just-
tell them off at home when they just say that.
Oh, do you?
Do you
Okay.
mean
Am I being
that
told
it's...
off?
Well, no,
Yeah.
not really. But do you mean that she could be a little bit
Just-
more supple through her back?
Yeah, through just
Just-
a bit stiller, just a bit more stiller in the
In the
equal amount of
contact.
men through her elbows, so she's a little bit more even down both reins. And then so as she turned through the corner here, just before the extended trot, rather than the horse bend around her leg, so the inside leg acts like a bit of a post, he sort of fell sideways a bit. So the beginning of the extended trot wasn't completely straight. So then, of course,
Yeah,
then she
that's
probably
right.
couldn't ride him at full power.
There you are. You see, now
Yes, so
that's
that's
the
a bit better.
rider in you. Do you not find, though, that,
Yeah, well, yeah.
that judges use an awful lot of the similar words? You've now explained it brilliantly. Now,
Oh, thank
I would find that hard to give a high mark to because it runs a bit.
Running a little bit, yeah. They did like to see the horse sort of a bit more uphill and a bit more ground cover. And then the piaffe, the horse doesn't
It's
look
very
overly,
reluctant.
Yeah, overly committed to the rider in the piaffe.
That's tactful.
She's trying to piaffe, and he's saying, "Do we really need to at this point?" But she's doing a good job though. She's still getting what she can, I think, at the moment today.
He's a little bit of a little person and a little bit stiff through his back. For me, he lacks a bit of confidence
Yeah.
and acceptance of the bridle, which means that, and here's an expression I absolutely loathe, I spent 2 days pulling Peter Stall's leg about, but then not really through.
True, yeah. Yeah, it's a very open word through, isn't
It's a
it?
very
when you're
open
talking
word.
dressage, it can mean, it's like being on the bit. It
But-
can mean quite a lot of things, actually. It's not just having the heads down.
No.
It means a lot of things.
Absolutely.
It's a joke on our yard. The guys who ride at our yard and
Oh,
stuff.
good. They're not allowed to say it too much on yours either.
No, we joke to each other. We say, "Have you got that horse on the bit yet?" I said, "No, not yet." Yeah. So.
But that is the root of the problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's being really reluctant with her. I think
Yeah.
she's been quite
tactful, yeah. Yeah, and he could just join in a bit more, especially in the piaffe and passage.
I'm going to just point out that it's all very well for us if there's anybody sitting on the side and saying, well, why doesn't she just ask more and kick it harder and do more? I had a horse like this that if you did that,
He would've
then
said-
would sit down and
Yeah.
stand bolt upright.
Yeah, she would know her horse, and she'd be knowing what she can ask for
and
today
can't do.
and what she can't do, and so. And also, as well, is the future in mind as well. It's,
There
she
is.
wants to keep this horse, building, confident for the future. Oh, unfortunately, there's a bit of a drop of the curb rein.
I'll tell you what, the canter was quite nice.
But
then.
the canter, when she dropped the curb rein, came a bit more uphill.
I don't think we'll say that.
And again, just like the extended trot and the extended canter there, again, you're just sort of running a little bit. Could just cover a bit more ground.
Two, three, four. 3, 4, 5, 6.
Good.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do you know, Matthew,
This is-
I think this should be rewritten. 2, 3 steps half past, 1
Where's that
step
well?
leg yield. 4 steps half past, 2 steps leg
That's how you
yield.
ride it, isn't it?
4
Yeah,
steps
just
half
ride it,
past,
yeah.
2 steps leg
Yeah.
yield.
It'd be a lot easier to learn it. Like if you knew you could do that. I
Oh.
thought she rode that zigzag really well.
She
actually.
did.
Yeah, and again,
And
with
she's
the
got the
ones now,
ones.
yeah. She's and these are the hard movements to pull off. So
Yes. A little bit shorter with the right hind than the left
yeah.
hind.
But she did very good. That zigzag isn't easy.
No, it
actually,
isn't.
and I thought she did a very neat, tidy job of that.
I don't take a single breath in it.
Antipirouette, so that's just a little bit large. It could just be a bit more on the hind legs.
Good. Got her right bend. She nudged it forward just there when she felt it coming a bit early. But again, it's a bit big.
Yeah.
And you can see the stiffness just that through the top line.
Yeah.
I was trained by a trainer who used to say bendy flexy. And this
Yeah.
would,
Yeah.
would be a good thing to work through the winter on. Henk von Bergen, did you ever work with him?
No, unfortunately.
Blasted wonderful trainer he was.
So, but overall, though, I mean, I know it was
Yes, pleasant.
pleasant, and they look a nice
Some
partnership.
highlights.
Yeah,
That's nice.
She'll be up. Chuff, she's here. She'll be having a great time, which is the important thing. Sarge looked getting better there.
Yeah, it was a good downward one, but it's stepping in the piaffe.
Yeah.
It's not really piaffing.
No.
So that will be very expensive. That might even only get a 3 from the 2 side judges.
Yeah.
Because this is, you shouldn't mark it differently, but you know,
No,
I bet they do.
very good hold
A
load to
CDI 3-star to a CDI
it's
4-star.
highest. They
they'll be
expect a higher
they'll be a
standard,
little bit tougher.
Yeah, they will be, and quite rightly so, I suppose, at this level.
Well,
but that last halt was super. Really good. And she did a good job there for this horse's future, I think, and for both her confidence. So that's an important thing to take away. It's the same age as the last horse, so 12 or 13 yet. So still, again, not a great age for a Grand Prix horse. Hopefully he's got quite a few years left in him.
Are
so
you riding here?
No.
I'm going to ride too now.
Dylan, who works for us, with our rider from the yard, did the small tour.
Did he?
But unfortunately, the horse came out of his stable a bit lame this morning, which was a shame. Yeah, so he's very disappointed. But anyway, there's always another day, so just hopefully there's nothing.
Well, I look forward
serious.
to seeing you at Premier League. You're one of the few riders who smiles at me.
That's good. I love it so much. Well, that was great. Thank you, Pammy.
Yeah, and thank you, Matt, very much.
Yeah, that was great. And now it's time for a break, and then later on you'll be joined by Judge Judy.
Judge Judy?
Yeah, good. Okay.
Oh yeah, no. Good afternoon, Stephen. I was wondering if you were going to speak to me.
Well, we welcome the judges back to the arena with Martin Ryan to Ivan and H, Hans Bozer at C and Stuart at B. And the next one to the arena is number 91, Avery Ward, riding double agent. We would like to thank the farm shop at Lynn for being proud sponsors of this dressage. Not very loud over here, is it? They've supplied all of the parks, flowers and trees that decorate the showground and arenas. Immediately available to purchase at the end of the show. Please make your way to the Secretary's office for details and prices. The farm shop at Lynn also stock a wide selection of fresh fruit, vegetables and animal food and bedding. So please go to their Facebook page for more information. All of the prize giving bookcases is supplied by Flowers by Samantha Jane. They're located at the same farm shop. They not only produce stunning bouquets, but also connected to weddings, funerals and football events. Find a selection of the floral displays they can offer. Flowers by Samantha Jane Facebook.
Technology is social, it's not good.
Please also make your way to the British Dressage Supporters Club for members and non-members. Please do go and visit them in their marquee overlooking the Bournemouth Arena. All are welcome. On Thursday and Friday today, they have wine, non-alcoholic drinks, fruits, and nibbles. There's a tombola to raise funds for British Dressage. And on Saturday and Sunday, they will also be offering shoes as well. We now welcome our judges back to the international arena. At C, we have the Jean-Michel Rouvier. At H, Stephen Clark. At C, Christoph Umbach. At N, Tina Parker-Lohman. And at B, Peter Holler. And now to the international arena for the next round of the FEI Nations Cup Grand Prix. We welcome number 55, Lara Butler, riding Ruben Al-Assad for Great Britain. And Lara has been reserved from the Rio Olympics in 2016 in the British team, and she is also a reserve for the World Equestrian Games only last year.
gobstopping win in the Tony team class. For Bellamino, this is their first season competing. They competed Tuesday CDI in March and they won the advanced medium at Somerset Premier League. This is Hardy and Bellamino.
So, back into the commentary box. We had a slight technical glitch. Hopefully you're receiving the commentary now. A quick introduction whilst we watch a super performance from Lara. I'm Anand Patel, and with me is a very experienced international rider, trainer, judge, Judy Harvey.
Good afternoon again, everybody. It's great to be here at Hickstead, which is really the mecca for British dressage, and we're watching here a very efficient and competent performance from Lara Butler with Ruben Al-Assad. He's a very experienced horse, but Lara recently had a baby and she's getting back into top international level, and this test is pretty important for her, and so far she's doing an excellent job.
Yeah, lovely line of two tempies there. Really nice and active. We're sat really on the diagonal line here, so you can see the straightness, and very well ridden.
They've developed a lovely uphill tendency in this horse. It used to be a little bit of an issue for him, but the training over the years has developed that, and that's what training a dressage horse is all about, that it enhances the performance and makes the horse more beautiful in his appearance and in his muscles and in his conformation, so that you get this picture of a horse in total self-carriage working well on behalf of his rider. Good zigzag. A little bit short in that last change, and there she has to give him a little half halt, setting him up through this corner.
Just to remind him that he must stay uphill and in the carriage the whole way through the test. 15 of these are required. Super. We both held our breath there, Judy.
Yeah, he just gets a little bit long in those, and somehow that he doesn't ping them off the ground, but they were very correct and will have been there for a good score, and it's a double score on the one-time changes, so it's important. And here another double scoring element, the pirouettes. Good, neat, well-balanced pirouette, flying change in the middle.
You can really see Lara's ability as a professional coming out in the way she presents a test, you know, and the infrastructure she has around her with, of course, Laura's father Wilfred, and Klaus Balkenhol to help.
Yes, and I see Klaus Balkenhol's over here, been helping Laura and Lara with their horses for this show. Lovely setting up of that extended trot. She really kept the horse in a good frame, got the shoulders up, and now is riding really well on the diagonal line. Yeah, lovely. It could have started a little bit tense in those first two steps, but actually she kept him really on her aids there. So the last centre line here, the passage into Piaf at X and a passage out, isn't it, Judy? Yep. And the horses all know that this is coming to the end of the test. Some of them get hotter, some of them get lazier. This has an odd effect. She's keeping him well in balance. Could maybe sit a little bit more in this Piaf, but he's keeping the rhythm, keeping the energy and activity. Good passage and transitions out. And again, keeping the passage all the way to the last halt. Very well done. Very well done. I think she'll be absolutely thrilled with that, Judy. She should be. No mistakes. Essentially a mistake-free test with power expression. Yep. And a really nicely ridden and polished performance, I'd say. Yeah. Very good.
So as Judy said before our technical glitch, Lara has always been on the edge of a senior team selection, hasn't she? She's been knocking on the door.
Yes, she was reserve in Rio, and she was reserve, I think, for the Europeans, and I think she was reserve again for the Worlds. So she's very competent reserve.
Yeah,
she
really.
Probably is fed up with having that experience.
Yeah, doesn't want to be the bridesmaid any longer. Her mother, Caroline, who's heavily involved in the sport as well, supporting. We can see her just behind. I think they'll all be very, very happy.
Yep. And all credit to Lara, having had a baby recently, got herself fit.
Yeah.
Because your core muscles riding the Grand Prix in your seat, you're not just sitting on the back of a horse,
No.
you are totally in there. And to power a big horse like this around the Grand Prix.
She's done really well. I saw her at Hartbury. I said, you cannot be riding already.
Yeah, yeah.
Well done.
Well done.
Big smiles from Lara.
73.705 is the score, and into the lead.
Brilliant.
Well, it was clearly the best test we've seen so far today, and
Absolutely.
a great score for Great Britain and the team event here.
Yeah. And talking of Great Britain, Judy, you know, for many, many years, this sport was dominated on the continent, mostly by Holland and Germany.
Yeah.
And I'd say probably, certainly in the last 10 years, but maybe 8, you know, Britain are leading the sport, you know, as good as anyone else is now.
We've certainly stepped up to become a leading nation, and I've obviously been around in the sport for quite a long time, and I've seen that evolve, and it's been fantastic, exciting honour and a privilege to see that.
Yeah.
And one of the turning points was here at Hickstead when we won, I can't remember now, it was a silver or bronze medal in a team event when Hickstead staged the European Championships.
Yes.
And it's thanks to people like Dane and the input of the Hickstead team that we got that exposure at that time. And suddenly the world woke up to the fact that
England is not, Great Britain is on the map.
Yeah. This is quite an important ride for the team competition today. This is for Portugal.
Who do we have here? We have Miguel Torres on a 9-year-old. So, you know, young for the level, Judy.
Yes, and these horses mature quite quickly as Grand Prix horses. The Iberian Lusitanos. Is this a Lusitano or an Andalusian?
It's a
Lusitano, yeah.
It's a Lusitano, yeah.
And they have an inbuilt, bred into them ability to do all the difficult Grand Prix work. The collection, the pirouettes, the piaffe passage. And but sometimes they are not so good in the walk, so we'll wait and see, and sometimes they're not so good in the extended trots. But the horse before, the previous Portuguese horse, did a fabulous extended trot. So
yes, I did
really
see
nice
that
to
actually.
Yeah.
And also talking about the breed trait in these horses, Judy, they can sometimes come short in the neck because conformationally
they have short necks. Yeah. Neck extensions aren't available.
No, unfortunately not.
But and that's the skill of the rider then, is to show that the horse really taking the bit forward and lengthening the frame. In the extended trot we can't see it from here, apart from the fact it's straight, because we're directly behind him, but it looked like in a good rhythm.
And on a good line. Plenty of expression in the forearm, this horse, you know, really reaching out in that trot there.
And what I love to see is the way it used the forearm again in the half pass, really like as if the right foreleg is pointing at the marker, and allowing that crossing.
I have to say, Judy, rather controversially, you can see a lot of these horses and, you know, pick bits apart in them, but this one is actually a very pleasing picture, isn't it, so far?
Yeah. For me, the left half pass wasn't quite so good as the right one, but the right one was lovely.
Just dropping the bit a little bit there to the rein back.
And a little bit lazy in the move off forward too. He could have been a bit more forward. And the rider had to use quite a hefty aid. And what we're wanting to see again is that it looks like the rider's the horse is doing it all for the rider,
Yes.
with a silent secret language.
Absolutely. The less it appears the rider's doing, the more harmonious the picture, I suppose.
Yes. Right, now we're coming into what should be one of the highlights for this type of horse, into the piaffe. So let's see, keeps the rhythm well. Very good transition. Super piaffe.
Very, very much in the rhythm. Super and good out.
There's also a mark for the transitions in and out of the passage piaffe, and that was very fluent without any loss of rhythm. For a really top mark, I'd like to see a little bit more of an uphill tendency in the piaffe, a bit more.
He
lowering
could have
of the
been
quarters.
sitting a little bit, but we could put that down to his age.
Yes, at 9 years old, it's
Still got to get stronger there.
yeah, it's still in the very much a developing phase of his Grand Prix.
And taking the neck out to that extended walk there. You know, he's not ducking behind, which is really nice to see.
The way he uses his front legs, though, in this collective walk will not earn him many marks. He's a little bit stompy,
Yes.
a little bit stiff in the foreleg. But again, makes it up with a reasonable transition into the passage. Now you can see the rider's really working hard with his legs here and having to give him quite a
lot of leg aid.
Yeah, you'd like to see it a little bit less than that, but it's being effective, and he's got into that lovely piaffe again. Very good piaffe.
The horse staying absolutely great in the frame as well there, you know, really rock solid in the connection.
In comparison with the first Passage Piaffe Tour, I think that would have been a mark lower for the transition, because he had a little bit of a stutter coming out, didn't quite maintain the rhythm. Good strike off. And remember, there's a hole mark for that strike off into canter, and it goes all the way round to the start of the two-time changes.
Right. Little bit to the left change, you can see him swinging. Again, it could be the fact that the horse is green at the level, and we are also sat bang on this diagonal line.
And this is where you can see the horse is getting a little bit tired, and that's due to youth and inexperience, and just hasn't quite got the same lift and self-carriage that the older, more strong horses would have.
I would agree. They have to be really fit at this level, don't they, Judy?
They do,
you know,
especially in these temperatures we've had. And I presume this horse did travel over from Portugal, and the travel and the weather take their toll. But the extended canter was well used to regain a little bit of enthusiasm in the horse and to keep him moving. But again, in a year's time, I would expect to see a bit more self-carriage from this horse and a little bit more of an uphill tendency, but no technical mistakes.
No. You
so
can
still
see
getting good
just,
scores.
Just dropping there in the front a little bit now where he's tiring.
Yeah. Oops.
Mistake there early on in the 110Ps, but recovered really well. Would you say they would need a little bit more ground cover, Judy?
More ground cover, a bit more power and forwardness for the top mark, but the rider's priority at this stage is to do them without mistake.
Yeah.
Sadly, he didn't do either, but you know, it wasn't a disaster. You see worse. And again, pirouettes should be very easy for this horse, and that was very small.
Very, very tight.
Yeah, I'd like to see a little bit more jump in the canter. Good pirouette again.
Yeah.
He's clocking up some scores here.
He will do, because as much as there have been a couple of mistakes, technically the horse is actually, you know, performing the Grand Prix test.
Yes, and there's double marks on the piaffe and the pirouettes, and I'm no mathematician, but he will have
got some scores.
I don't think he'll trouble Lara.
No.
But
I wouldn't have
a good sound score for his team. Last centre line. See whether the horse is inspired by the fact he's got the wide open space of the centre line in front of him, and remains active through this.
And thinking forward, I mean, you know, as much as you want the PF on the spot, it's got to be with a forward-thinking tendency.
That's lovely. Very nice. Good bounce, well within himself.
Yeah.
Totally in rhythm. Now he's starting to think, oh, I can stop in a minute.
Yes, he's
just
just
got
anticipating.
Keep going, keep going. Good. Little step back in the halt, and again the horse has lost the self-carriage slightly in the halt, so that also will be taken into consideration.
The rider clearly elated
Yes.
with how the horse has gone, and you know, at the age of 9.
Or else he's doing the dressage thing, convincing the judges he's elated.
Yes, absolutely. On the judges panel today, there's Jean-Michel Roudier, who is for France, Stephen Clark, our very own, Christoph Umbach, Tina Karkalainen, is that
I'm
her?
glad you went for that one.
And Germany's Peter Holler. So I can see at least 3 of these are 5-star judges. Ooh.
72.402.
Judy
into
Harvey,
second.
you were correct,
Wow.
weren't you?
Yeah, that was good.
So we have our next competitor ready and waiting here, who is Lucy Louvs, riding Avito for the Netherlands. Lovely to see these continental riders bringing Nations Cup teams over here to Hickstead. You know, really giving us good viewing.
Having said he was a little bit tired, he's obviously got the stable insights.
Absolutely.
Or a treat from his supporters.
Rodrigo is just, you know, lapping up the fact that he's really ridden a very good test for a very good score.
Yeah, yeah. And like most of these Iberian horses, this one is a stallion.
Yeah.
And they have such super temperaments, and they're so well mannered.
I'm just going to make a quick observation here. As this Dutch rider comes in, the horse is unshod behind Judy, which is really rare at this top level.
Well, yes. Some vets and farriers have the theory that if you leave them unshod behind, it lets the horse find his own natural balance, and you're not interfering with the way the horse puts his feet on the ground, and that really benefits some horses, but some horses need the support
and the
of shoes,
management,
and it's very individual to the horse. And these days, working on artificial surfaces that protect the horse and don't damage the hoof wall so much, it's quite possible to have a horse that's unshod all round, but more common to see a horse that's unshod behind.
This is a 10-year-old gelding. Be quite nice to see their breeding, which we can't, because I always find it, especially with the Dutch and German bred horses, interesting to see some of the breed traits coming from the various stallions.
I might be able to find that for you. I think it's on the website.
Oh, great.
We've only just got, I think, the start list in here. But no, just the same information.
So a neat stop for the beginning, and she showed really good immobility.
And of course, the one would expect the scores to go up as the competition develops, because each nation will have their better horses going later on in their team.
Yes. Again, we couldn't see anything more than straight behind for that extension, but one of the things that I did see when I sat here yesterday in the small tour is a few of them going wide behind you in those extensions, and that's a bit costly.
Yes, it's often a sign of a little bit of weakness, and it's also a sign of the horse not wanting to engage and being a little bit stiff through the back and through the body. And in some stallions, it's for a different technical reason that I won't go into on air.
No, they might feel an element of discomfort in that department.
Obedient rein back.
I must tell those of you watching from home or in other countries, you know, these Grand Prix horses have not had the most ideal preparation. Their riders wouldn't have been able to ride them as usual yesterday.
No, the Hickstead, and we had temperatures. We had the hottest day on record in Great Britain yesterday.
38 degrees.
And the welfare of the horses was absolutely paramount, and no rider was allowed to ride their horse more than once, and they couldn't have ridden their horses out and practiced the more strenuous exercises.
No.
Because they needed to preserve the horses' energy for today, and and the management team here at Hickstead went to so much trouble and made sure there was water, hosing available everywhere.
I really, as a rider and a competitor myself, cannot fault the way they handled it yesterday.
It was brilliant. Even the dogs were allowed to have a bucket of water chucked over them.
Yes.
They weren't so appreciative of that, but
no.
There was advice for the humans.
Absolutely. Lucy, just coming up in this collected walk, it's very hard, this balance, isn't it, Judy? Because the horse has to be hot enough to make this transition at M, but staying really showing a clear walk.
Exactly. And again, that's the skill. It sounds simple. Collected walk through a short side, pop into passage. But to get the horse hot and sharp enough off your leg to get into that passage, and stay relaxed enough to produce a really good collected walk is difficult. See, if you compare this horse in the Piaffe, like with the previous one, it's not so much on the spot. There's
a little bit travelling
forward, and a little bit of irregularity in the steps. How old is this one again?
He's 10.
Yeah, well, still young and in a developing phase for a Grand Prix horse, and he would still need more strength and conditioning.
I absolutely wouldn't know technically how the judges think, because I'm not one of which you are, Judy, but the double beating in the hind leg, is that costly?
It is, and there are other faults which are more costly, but that is a fault, yeah.
Lovely clean line of 2 tempies there.
You can see, though, in the way the horse canters, he hasn't developed as much collection yet as some of the others, but very much has the ability to go forward and extend in the extended canter.
That flying change technically should be on the last stride of the diagonal, not on the track, and that one was definitely on the track.
You should be judging.
I would be far too scared, Judy.
Yeah, I think we don't appreciate how scary it is for these judges, and how heart-stopping it can be for them.
And they have to make a decision in a split second, you know, and at the end of the day, they are human beings.
Yeah, and there's no replay or Hawkeye at this level, so...
No, I think it's definitely a hats off to the judges in our sport, because without them we wouldn't have a sport, quite frankly.
And in 35 degrees of heat yesterday, so they had to judge 40 Prix St George horses, didn't they?
Unbelievable. I was actually speaking to the Belgian judge Jacques Van Daal over lunch today, and he said it was, you know, really, really unbearable, the temperature. And a huge class to judge.
Good pirouette. Oops, this one not so good. She just lost the quarters. She hasn't got the bend. And instead of keeping the hindquarters underneath the horse and the horse turning around the hindquarters, he kind of turned around the middle.
He did.
Which isn't ideal.
She could have just had more bending coming into that pirouette, couldn't she, Judy, to have helped him out a little bit.
Good extension.
And now she comes to the final Piaffe Passage tour on the centre line that we were talking about earlier.
Clear transition into passage. That's what you want to see, that the horse trots that first part of the centre line, and then they show a clear difference at L into the passage.
Yes, and some riders do try and mask that by doing just a slower and a slower trot, Judy. This one has made a clear effort.
Quarters a little bit to the left in the Piaffe, and still to the left in the passage. The horse slightly curling around her leg, which the judges again will take into account. but at least he's maintaining a good passage and a lovely halt.
Lovely
Beautiful
finish
halt.
there. And he's got very unusual markings on his face, this horse, so when we're looking at symmetry and bending, you almost have to look away from that white leaning.
One white front leg is also can be quite distracting, but these judges are very experienced, they'll look through that.
They will.
And because we're not allowed to mask out artificially any markings which are
is that
not symmetrical.
Not legal?
No.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Some riders have false tails for their horses, but they have to take the tail to the vet inspection and show it to the stewards before they're allowed to use it. Because if they have a very sparse tail, it can make the hocks look it's a bit more obvious. As you can see, the judges can see the hocks more clearly. But if they've got a nice full tail, it can certainly develops the experience.
Absolutely, and it adds to a bit more of a sitting picture, doesn't it? Now, next in is a household name, Judy.
Who is he? Who is he?
Yeah, who is he? Some chap. He is Dane Rawlings, riding his own homebred horse, Espoir. I would say, quite frankly, Dane has been a servant to our sport, Judy.
Absolutely.
In every way.
His passion for the sport is incredible.
Yeah.
Especially the sort of ups and downs he's had too with, getting involved in stuff and struggling a little bit with this place to really get it off the ground.
And he really stuck with it.
And his wife, Maureen, as well.
Yeah.
Who
stood right next to us supporting. She's been instrumental, really, in Hickstead with Dane. They're a real team.
Yeah. The one thing you can't tell Dane is no, it can't be done.
No, because he'll prove you wrong. Now, Dane coming into the first centre line. This horse, again, he, as I mentioned, he's a homebred of Dane's. Young for the level. 10 this time, but he's a very, very big horse, so taking time to mature and strengthen up.
Dane's formed a real partnership with this horse. Obviously, being homebred, they know each other very well. How Dane manages to focus on riding a Grand Prix test when he's got all this going on. I mean, he's probably looking at the flowers in that marker thinking somebody needs to water those.
Absolutely. He's got a lot on his plate, and the way this show is really on the up, they're working very hard to keep the standard so high. So for Dane to then just, go and ride a cheeky Grand Prix is hats off to him.
In these half passes, though, he needs to have the horse in a little bit more of an uphill tendency, and just gets a little bit what we call slightly behind the vertical, but the steps are good, and good crossing.
Yeah, very good there.
And Dane is fully hands-on in the organisation of this show. I was walking my dogs this morning, and he was out there supervising the harrowing of the arenas at 7:30 this morning. And
he's the first person, if a loo's broken, to mend it. If boards need changing, he'll do it.
Yeah.
And that's very admirable. You don't see him sitting around in the VIP.
No, you never. He's always ready to be hands-on and working.
Yeah. So
nice passage.
Yeah,
very
really
good.
Nice picture there.
Oops, but then as you see, as he gets into the piaffe, the horse gets the base a little bit long.
Just a little bit separated.
Yeah, and he needs to step under with his hind legs more so he can come up through the body, and you feel the feeling under the saddle should be the horse comes up underneath you rather than sinking.
Yes. Dane prolific on his last Grand Prix horse, Sydney. A mare that he produced again from scratch. I don't know how many Grand Prix horses he must have done. He's 102 years old, so probably a fair few in his time.
Now this horse doesn't have the best of walks, but that extended walk was looking an awful lot better. Let's hope the judges recognise that. And the collective walk now is a lot better too.
Yeah, and Dane visibly with his leg off the horse's side to say, you just walk, We're not passaging yet. And an obedient transition into that passage. Could he be a little bit more up in the front, Judy?
Yes, and again, more lowering of the quarters, but he's doing it. It could have been a bit more regular in the rhythm, but nice transition out. And Dane, I'm a little bit the same vintage as Dane, and I've got horses here, and we don't ride really so much now for international glory. We ride because we love it.
It's for pleasure, and it's your
Absolutely
passion.
Love it, and it's a passion, and we love bringing horses on and developing them. And
Dane, I
just
shall be
getting out
telling you when you get off that you turn onto a diagonal straight, not in half pass.
You're brave.
I get it back from him. And a nice smile from Dane at the end of those changes. He'll be really pleased. This horse is really his baby.
Yes.
And as you said, Judy, you know, this is Dane's, I mean, hobby is a bit of a loose term, but, you know, he's not riding for international glory constantly. He's riding because he loves it, and producing the horse is a pleasure. Horse is a little bit in the Rawlings family. Dane's brother Craig has a huge dealing operation.
Dane needs to learn to count. Go on.
In Holland. Dane's daughter Annie also rides.
And Annie as well is very much involved in the organisation here.
Yes, she is.
Helping out with the stabling and any other thing she can lay her hands on.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Again, more ground cover, more uphill tendency, a little bit more open in the frame, but he got them, and they're double marks.
And they were clean, but as you said, Judy, I think for those higher marks, they need to be more across the ground on that line.
Oops. We both said oops because coming out of that pirouette, he slightly lost the balance, and the hind legs came together for one stride, which will lose him marks. We want to see the split in the hind legs all the way through those canter strides. They stay separated, which they did in that one, but Dane was a little bit more careful on the coming out and let the horse get a little bit on the outside shoulder.
He did.
Sometimes it's a bit like plates and poles. You go to correct something and something else falls off. So, lovely extended.
Very expressive.
I wonder what his heart rate is now.
Yes, I wonder too.
The respiration rate.
Dane will be really pleased with this because this horse is getting stronger and stronger. You know, we've watched him at Bolesworth International, Hartbury International, and now here. And every Grand Prix I've watched this horse do has got better.
Good passage.
And Dane, you've managed to go the right way through the whole test instead of going wrong twice at Bolesworth. So we can, you know, retire the tom-tom.
It was raining at Bolesworth.
Yeah, we'll push it down.
Couldn't see the markers.
No.
Oh, I think he'll be really pleased with it.
I think he will too.
Ooh, great.
And a smile. Just a pity about that last talk. The horse stepped forward one step, but he will be very, very pleased with that.
Bet he's a bit hot now.
Yes. I think Dane needs a shower.
Yes. Yeah. Nobody hugged Dane for a while.
No. He'll be very, very pleased with that, Dane. And I think, you know, if we're here and we're on the showground, it's never a bad thing to just go and say thank you to Dane, because it's not just the work he puts in for this week, it's the months and months beforehand of organisation and clerical work that Dane and Maureen and the team here at Hickstead do put in.
Yep. It's a huge thing. And, yeah, we need to appreciate it.
Big smile from Dane there as he walks out. And a clap from everybody.
66.476. How does that?
I think that is what I think it's marginally better than Hartbury, Judy. So, you know, I think if the horse carries on getting stronger and without those couple of mistakes there, when he carries in the front, that could be reaching high 60s.
Yes, yes, it could. It could. I mean, he had a mistake in the zigzag, and
in the pirouette,
and that can all be a lot better.
So next in we have a very, very experienced combination, Gloucestershire-based Hayley Watson-Greaves on Rubens Knight. Hayley has done many, many international Grand Prix with this horse, Judy, hasn't she?
Yes, her she did a lot of World Cup. She was, not this year, but last year, she was a sole representative for Great Britain in the World Cup final, where she did a fantastic job. Earlier this, we haven't seen her so much this year because in one of the early shows in Doha, during the steward's check, the horse got loose and his bridle came off, and he was really badly injured. But he's back on track now.
And he looks super. I mean, he almost looks a bit fresh to me, Judy.
It will be fresh. He's always a bit fresh and spooky in his first test.
Okay.
And Hayley has a job to manage him for that. Usually, you know, he's been to Hickstead a lot of times, but hopefully he'll be well behaved today.
And going back to the conversation we were having when Lara came in, you see a more established horse immediately. His carriage is very different in the front. You know, he's had many years of training at this level for his body to be conditioned.
And the body language of the rider as well. She comes in, you know, here, look at me.
Yeah, she's not having to
I'm here
nurse
to compete.
Yeah,
I'm not here to take part.
Absolutely.
Whoa, yeah. Just could have been a little bit more immobile in the halt.
Just a fraction inattentive there.
Yeah. This horse has usually a very good extended trot, but she's usually a bit cautious in this first one because he can be a little bit cheeky.
For those of you,
but you can see already the power in that, and he just takes off across the diagonal and looks really great.
Lovely. For those of you listening at home, Judy would definitely know these senior riders and senior horses very well because you're also involved in selections, aren't you, Judy?
Don't remind me.
Which again is a huge responsibility.
Huge responsibility, unbelievable amount of work, and and it's not easy, let me tell you. And one wants to do the best thing one can for Great Britain and the best thing one can for all the riders.
Which sometimes don't go hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's enough on that subject.
Yes. Moving on.
Good half passes. Rather crooked and a bit awkward into the halt.
Yeah, he took his time to settle into that halt a little bit, so that'll be reflected in the mark.
So let's see this extended trot from this angle, which she's so good in that transition.
Stunning.
Yeah. She really matches front and back, and she can, it's really clearly extended.
But very, very tricky for a rider to go straight from that extended trot into the ultra collection of a passage, and Hayley did that masterfully, really.
It's the challenge of the Grand Prix, and good in the Piaffe now. Good boy. Well done. Good balance coming out. Nice transitions. Come on, Hayley.
He looks happy, the horse. You know, his ears flicking back and forward, you know, waiting for mum to tell him what's next. Again,
it's years of training and building a great trust and partnership between these two. The partnership that evolves between horse and rider is so significant. You can see, you know, he's a cheeky little thing. He's just looking a little bit into the VIP there and not really relaxing in the extended walk.
And Hayley really, you know, cleverly using her right rein there to keep the horse slightly flexion on the inside.
To take him away from what he was looking at, distract him back. I've seen him often have a little jog in the extended walk, so she would probably be pleased with.
And a jog would be very costly, wouldn't it, Judy?
Again, double marks in the extended walk. Good transition into passage. Very clear first steps.
So now Hayley makes the turn to Piaffe. 12 to 15 steps, is it, Judy?
Yeah. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Hayley opting for the maximum number, back into passage, and now what I think is a really tricky transition at E, from passage to left canter.
It is, because the rider's legs in passage will move a little bit similarly to the canter aid, depending on how you train your horse, and they're a little bit shocked and surprised into canter sometimes, and can fumble a bit. It's probably the best.
Absolutely.
What we want to see is a good, clean transition.
Now for the 2 tempies.
Very, very good. Could be a little bit straighter, perhaps.
I would have said
line.
the one to the left was drifting just fractionally.
Good boy. Keep control. Good lengthening of the frame. We can see those ears.
Yes.
Little warning signs. I mean, a horse pricks his ears, and with this horse really points his ears forwards, and he's looking at something.
And as a rider, you're then almost, a little bit having to ride cautiously, especially on that extension where she was riding into the trade stand.
Almost a little fumble in that change, but she got him back and got it through. Right, come on.
Right.
Edge of your seat now. She's got to get these 1 times. Keep him straight and down the rein.
3, 4, 5, 6. Costly error there in the middle with Ruben's Knight just missing one tempi.
And you can see that spook. That's the character of this horse I was talking about earlier. He just has this little bit of cheekiness about him.
Hayley will be very, very disappointed with that, because the horse was actually doing a very smart Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And then,
But good recovery.
Yes.
Good pirouette.
And there you can see, Judy, the bending we were talking about earlier. Hayley really showing a clear bend.
Yeah. The very centred round the inside hind leg. Good pirouette. See how much risk she takes again, because she's got to go towards that corner where he's a bit difficult. She's brave.
To ride that extension on full power.
Yeah, towards that corner where he's just had a spook.
So as a rider, I'd say, coming into that corner, you would use a bit of a stronger left leg aid to say to the horse, stay on my line.
Yeah.
And she needs to have a good corner there to get into this beautiful balance.
Well done with the passage. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Good. Good transitions.
The horse still wanting to have a look. You can really see.
Yeah. But they're not machines.
No, absolutely.
Well done, Hayley.
Well, I think to have him back after such a serious injury, Judy, she'll be elated. He looks fit, fresh, and clearly willing to go.
Clearly enjoying his work, which is so satisfying.
And it's important that they stay feeling like that at this level, because I think when a horse, doesn't feel like that at this level, as a rider, it's time to
stop.
Yeah, to stop.
We all love our horses, and we all want, when you go in there to perform, you want the horse to enjoy it with you.
Yes, absolutely. And really pushing them, it is not a very nice feeling at all.
No. And in these days of dressage in this era has become so horse friendly, and the horses are so well cared for, and the training, the stewarding, it's all
general management,
and the general management of the horses is all to look after them and care for them to the best of our ability. So they perform to the best of their ability. It's quite straightforward.
There's quite a buzz here at Dressage at Hickstead today. There's plenty of spectators. The hospitality looks pretty full. The catering's really good.
Yes.
I've had a couple of nice meals. Have you, Judy?
Yes. 71.167 in 4th place.
Which could have been.
She could have easily gone up to 2nd, I think, but with that spook and that mistake,
it really could have done. And our screen's just flicked on to. I'll briefly comment in the corner of the grandstands at the top side. You'll see a group of people, and they're being led by Senior Judge David Trott, and they are all List 2, 2A and List 1 judges doing what I suppose is CPD, Judy.
Yes, exactly. Continuous professional development, those who don't get acronyms. We're always having a bit of fun with that in our board meetings, because Peter Storr and I, we cannot understand acronyms, and they're having to, everybody else gets it, and then we're like, what are
now,
we talking
Judy,
about?
don't you start showing your age. I'm not a day older than 30.
Yeah, well, I won't comment on that. I'll just take it.
Yes, and you look good for it. Quite a group of them there in the corner, and they'll be quizzing David, and you know he'll be guiding them through how he might judge the Grand Prix.
Last rider for Portugal coming up, again a critical one. I wish we had some team updates.
Yes, it would be quite nice to know how they're going, how the teams are standing.
The internet didn't seem to be working earlier, the scores.
Now, Judy, you can't say anything about technical stuff because I wouldn't know how to work one of those contraptions, and you seem to be whipping it out every 10 seconds.
I've got a very patient husband who sometimes helps me with it, but he gets very frustrated with my lack of ability.
Yeah, I'm not very good with this technical stuff. Now, here we go. So
Okay, so we're after 3 tests.
Britain in the lead.
Yes, Portugal in second.
Which is
so this
just
is critical.
what we like. And obviously the riders opting to leave their strongest rider till the end.
And this was before Hayley's ride, and obviously before this guy's ride, so this could easily switch. This ride is critical.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, it looks rather good. Oh, it's the one that's based at Carl's.
Oh, this is, yes, I can see him just behind us with his arms crossed. This horse called Ecuador. Here he is with that smile. Yes, Grandad, it is Cocoa Pops here. So this horse looks stunningly expressive.
This horse went very well at Hartbury.
The jockey actually looks quite young to me, Judy. I don't know much about the rider, but he definitely looks a young chap.
Yep. That's the beauty of dressage, isn't it? That you can, you know, you can ride dressage from 5 years old to 90 years old, just about.
Yes.
Just have to find the right partner in a horse.
Absolutely.
Horse that suits you.
A really strong, powerful technique in the canter on this horse, isn't it, Judy?
Very positive entry and halt. And I would say he's certainly not here to go and visit Brighton Pier.
No, he's not here to make up the numbers. As you see him coming round that short side, he's here to ride on full power. João Miguel Torres.
Ecuador. I can do that bit.
The horse has a suitably pretty name, actually. Just using the frame in the front.
Yeah, and it could have a bit more self-carriage, but very expressive legs, I suppose we can say. And here, this left half pass is stunning.
Absolutely gorgeous with the way it reaches forward there.
Could maybe been a little bit more parallel, but that's detail.
This horse also 10.
Five steps back, correct number. The halt could have been a bit squarer to be picky, but the judges will be picky, so this is what we have to point out to you, these little details.
See the jockey there pushing his hands, you know, up and towards the horse's ears, as we were discussing earlier, Judy, to encourage the horse to take that nose out.
And forward, and so the that can really lengthen the frame. Well, stunning piaffe, really on the spot. Very good transitions.
Looks like he could be a bit hot, this horse, Judy, so the walk will be interesting. Well, so good so far.
I mean, it's not the most extravagant and relaxed and powerful extended walk, but it is correct.
Yes.
And
he must not think about the passage through this collected walk.
you see the horse has just dropped a little bit behind the vertical.
Yeah.
And
just a little bit of tension showing in the mouth there.
He took a long time to establish the collection, but he did. And now we go into passage. Yeah, and you can see he didn't quite have the hind legs under enough for really.
He just needs to
good
sit a
transition.
little bit more into that transition and push forward.
Oop, slight loss of rhythm there.
The rider very cleverly, you know, encouraging the horse to keep its neck up through that piaffe.
That piaffe is stunning. No other word for it. Really uphill.
Yes. And really in a super
and
rhythm.
sitting. Not this horizontal stuff, and you can
No.
still manage the transitions back between the passage and piaffe, which a lot of horses which really sit in the piaffe find it a bit, they fumble a little bit coming out.
Because they're over-sitting a little bit.
Yeah, and so those horses which are a bit more horizontal often get higher marks for the passage, for the transition, but it's not actually how it should be.
And to teach a horse to twist that pelvis and sit in that piaffe really is a lifetime's work, isn't it?
Great one times, absolutely dead straight.
And he's off.
Full of intention, full of confidence.
Really ridden with good gumption there.
I mean, that was a very good extended canter with a lovely change at the end.
I don't think in the time that we've been here, Judy, we've seen an extension that powerful.
No. And all confident. Brash, almost.
Yes. Look at me, I'm here.
Oops. Was that okay? I wasn't counting.
It was clear, but it was one step early. Very neat last change there.
Right, one times.
Super.
You can see the influence of the Carl Hester stable.
You
really
really
forward-ridden changes there.
Grandad is actually here helping Quao, and it's you know, his energy, Carl Hester's, that he takes still, you know, the enthusiasm he's putting into this sport is invaluable.
Yes. As a selector, I would prefer him to just teach British riders, but I guess economically that's not going to happen.
No.
But the pirouettes actually aren't quite so good as one would expect from this type of horse. The first one was could have had more suppleness, and the last one more engagement. But you know, not bad pirouettes.
No.
But you just kind of expect better from
them to be a little bit of a highlight.
Oh, we're off though. Oh, small loss of rhythm there. Just got a bit keen, the rider, I think.
He did, I think.
And wanted to show off a spectacular extension and had a little blip in the rhythm.
In the third step, he just was a little bit asymmetric behind, but then well recovered. And now into this iconic Passage Piaffe that this horse is really, really talented at doing.
I mean, that horse should get 10s for Piaffe.
It really should. And the judges, again, you know, in this modern way in the sport, do award 10s.
Yep.
It does happen.
Yeah. Little bit of a step back in the halt, but What a test.
That's a very, very
What a
classy
test.
Grand Prix, Judy. You know, ridden with so much power.
Well done him.
He'll be very thrilled, and I can see Carl smiling here, and a chap here called Diogo Lima Maya, and I think he's heavily involved, Judy, with this horse and also with the Grand Prix mare that Amy Woodhead rides.
Okay. Well, Portugal's coming up.
Absolutely. They're showing it too. So another Dutch rider in now. Now, Judy, I saw this in the working in 2 days ago, and it looked a Pia Passage machine. So it'll be interesting to see. Not very helpful.
It's just run the boards over, so somebody's going to have to fix those.
And it's actually napping to the one that's leaving the arena a bit, which is
72.794.
brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
He'll be really thrilled with that. Big smile. This Dutch rider just having a little bit of trouble, but she's got over it now on the horse. Hopefully we'll have enough time to settle down into this test.
Yeah. There's one of the Dutch contingent running to put the board back straight where she dislodged it because it's crooked and it's at a critical place where that's it.
So that's Alex van Silfout, who is the Dutch team coach and the father of a now prolific Dutch rider Diederik van Silfout. So again, lovely to see these top riders and trainers here at our very own dressage at Hickstead. Looks a very, very powerful horse, this.
She's having a little bit of a difficult time, isn't she?
Yeah, she really is. I think it's a mare. It's not really offering her any easiness, shall we say. At which point it becomes a very long test, Judy.
Yes.
So this is the second last to go. Riding for the Netherlands, Lynn Maas with the 10-year-old Electra.
Little bit of tension in the halt there. This mare looks full of go.
She really does. Once again, we can't see the level of expression from where we're sat on this extension, but it looked like it could have been very, very smart indeed.
Good picture along the short side.
That Grand Prix half pass is actually, you know, it's a very steep angle to get from the corner to the middle marker and back again. And Lynn just patting the horse at the end of that second half pass to relax her a little bit. Better halt that time, Judy, would you say?
Yes. Just a slight tendency to take the courses to the right. In the rein back, the horse should be straight. Obviously, they very rarely go to the left because the board is there. Whoops.
Now, the mare really isn't giving Lynn an easy ride there.
No. She was falling, drifting through her right shoulder, hanging a little bit towards the exit here.
I think it was a bit of a nappy thing, wasn't it? It looked like that to us.
It's difficult for these horses, especially they're herd animals. All their friends are back over the other side of the hedge. You take them away from the comfort of the other horses and bring them in here. And some horses are really shy about being on their own, but with experience and good experiences, hopefully that will be overcome and the horse will settle.
And there are plenty of public here today, so the atmosphere is, it's not conducive to a nervous horse.
Still, she managed to get the walk though, the extended walks. That's good.
Lynn, looking like she's riding with ultra concentration here. I mean, if you could see the expression on her face, every step under control, and that's a very Dutch system, wouldn't you say, Judy? The control that they like to have.
In that transition into passage, the horse didn't quite bring the hind legs under her enough. A little bit out behind. Yes, so she's obviously has a clear talent for piaffe. A little bit green at this stage and going a touch forward, but has that high energy and expression that we like to see in the piaffe.
Just a little sneeze at the end of that piaffe coming into passage. There can be a little bit a sign of tension again there, but very well ridden by the jockey here.
And she's a 10-year-old as well, this mare, so still in early days in Grand Prix.
Very expressive changes.
A little bit of swinging, but the bounce off the floor and the ground cover will compensate for that.
I would say she's ridden that well, because it could be with more power, but maybe that's intentional.
It's all about calculated risk, isn't it?
Absolutely.
There's no point in going for a huge extension and messing up. It's much better to get a safe 8 than make a real mistake and maybe get a 4. Even if you think that you have the potential for a 9 or 9.5, sometimes that option isn't available to you.
And that's professional riding.
Personally, I'd like to see a little bit less on the curb, but the mare is quite strong and wanting to go. You can see these one times are getting a bit hectic, and it's a case of, she got them,
yeah,
but hold your breath, everybody.
and they were really a little bit too much ahead of her there, because the mare was taking over a little bit in those tempies. Would you say lacking a bit of collection there, Judy?
A little bit. It doesn't have quite the self-carriage, but it was a good pirouette still. Don't forget also there's a mark for that flying change in the middle between the pirouettes, and that's often slightly glossed over.
Yes.
And she's having to hold, in the second pirouette, she's having to hold the horse back a little bit.
Yes.
And it wasn't quite controlled.
I think the mare has got very hot on the leg.
That's lovely.
Stunning. But she's been actually very well ridden.
Yes.
And with a big blip before she started her test, I should think she's going to be very pleased with this.
The horse has got lots of power. Of course, it's got a little bit cooler now, and the wind's up a little bit, so
it's helping.
That affects the horse's temperament, and they can become a little bit more energetic.
Yes.
Yeah, and there you can see in the passage she's running to the halt rather than really maintain the passage into the halt. But good performance all the same. A horse with a lot of possibilities
to have got through that as well as she has done.
So one more rider to go.
Yes, the last one coming up for Ireland, Kate Dwyer on Snowdon Fabergé, a 13-year-old British bred horse.
I think Portugal have gone into the lead.
Oh, yes.
According to the Hickstead website, in the team event.
I think we should be being happy, Judy, but of course, as both of us as Brits, that's slightly disappointing for the team.
Yes. 70.503 for Electra and Lynn Maas.
I think the tension would have affected those marks,
Yes.
Judy.
Yeah.
And now we have our last competitor into the international arena, representing Ireland, Kate Wyatt with snow photography.
We're just doing a cheeky selfie, Judy, aren't we, to be fair, whilst Kate warms up. I think there's nothing wrong with the occasional selfie. There's Ed Sheeran humming in the background. It's just a really, really nice atmosphere here today. Lynn looking happy with the horse. Big smiles from the Dutch team.
A little relieved, I think, that
Yes.
she got through that.
Yes.
She's national champion of Ireland in 2012. Kate had Fabio since she was 4 years old and has trained to Grand Prix with her mother Maureen. Fabio is a quarter Welsh top and has been
So the last competitor of this Nations Cup Grand Prix, just waiting for judge at sea, Christoph Umbach, to ring the bell, which has just gone.
Great to see Ireland here with the team, and no doubt encouraged by the Rawlings family to
Absolutely.
come and take part.
And they have got some, you know, they've got a bit of strength in depth coming, haven't they, Judy? They're not, there isn't one strong Grand Prix rider there now.
Well, Judy Reynolds, of course, has
Vancouver has just done amazingly.
just done really well in Aachen, and she's been the sort of highlight of the Irish team. But yeah, Ireland's such a nation of horsemen
Oh, absolutely.
that it's good to see them coming into the fore in dressage as well.
This, the stamp of this horse is not something we see so much these days. He's a bit of a heavier stamp of a horse, isn't he, Judy?
We call them an old-fashioned type, don't we?
Yes, yeah.
But that doesn't mean he's not suitable for the
Absolutely
job.
not.
The fashion has been for more elegant horses. When I say more light-footed
Yeah.
horses, this horse is a little bit heavier set, but he still has that lovely looseness and suppleness that you often find with those horses that are a little bit more substantial in their type. But it's finding it the half pass is a little difficult to stay good in the contact.
In the bending.
But he has got looseness in the way he uses his limbs. So once you've got the throughness established and the horse has a little more strength, the half passes will improve.
Bit abrupt, that halt to the rein-back, but actually the rein-back was fine, would you say, Judy?
Yes. Nice to see 4 matching white stocks too.
Yes,
That,
as we were saying earlier.
makes the whole picture even, doesn't it? And
Really
you
adds.
don't get a fake impression. Passage now.
Just lacking a little bit of activity behind in that PF. But she managed it well, and she did do it.
It wasn't a bad PF at all. Good passage.
Kate very concentrated on the job here.
We don't really have the best view of the extended walk, but looks very relaxed
It
and
does.
clear.
And Kate making a very clear transition to the collected walks,
Yes.
which many riders haven't
Don't exactly.
done.
The horse is fiddling a little bit in the mouth. I'd like to see the horse stiller in the mouth, but she's showing good steps
Yes.
and regularity in that collective walk. Oops.
Just a slight miscommunicate. The horse
Yeah.
thought PF and actually it needs to passage.
He's got a very good piaffe, this horse. Supple, loose, energetic, and the final icing on the cake was on the spot.
I do think, you know, going back to the original thing about his substance in his body, he's very, very capable.
What you often get with these horses that are a little bit more supple, he was clearly went quarters left before his strike off to canter, and she needed to organise him a bit more to get straight. It's a little detail, but it's a mark or two here and there.
And the judge here at H would have, you know, a real view of
Yeah.
that.
Lovely changes using the full diagonal.
Yeah.
But again, it's just that little bit of argument in the mouth.
Yes. I think, you know, at this level, and especially these international judges really would prefer to see a little bit more settled in the contact.
And the change there was a bit disappointing. It was rather a flat change.
It's a bit flat, yeah.
There's a separate mark for the flying change at the end of the extended canter in the Grand Prix. So I think they're all in the same mark for the special. So
right,
tomorrow you have to remember that one.
It's another day. Just leaving that last change a little bit late.
He's a big horse to fit all that in, isn't he?
He really is.
And oh, gosh, almost came back to trot, but just saved in time. So you would say the rhythm was interrupted before the one times.
And Judy,
but very nice.
Rather very quick with her right leg to say, stay cantering.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and good one times.
Yeah, really well ridden. Now coming to the left canter pirouette.
I'd like to see a bit more of an uphill tendency, but it was 6 strides, quite small and well defined. And that one was a little more uphill, but she lost the balance slightly coming out.
And you just saw her left rein half halting him there to say, just stay with me.
And go. Lovely.
Very nice.
Good extension. She's racking up some points here.
She will be, actually, because she's ridden a really neat test with some highlights.
Yes.
A couple of niggles, but no big mistakes.
Just a little bit going crooked and not quite maintaining the activity in that piaffe. That might have cost her a little point.
And that was quarters left again, interestingly.
I mean, this is a really competitive test, and all these little places where she could just gain marks. Oh, and there, the mouth again in the halt.
Yeah, it's a little bit on the forehand.
It's on the cusp of being super.
Yes, it really is.
And just those little details that need fixing.
I think Kate should be very pleased with that. Well, that brings us to a close here in this Nations Cup Grand Prix, Dressage at Hickstead. I think it's another day of sport tomorrow, Judy.
Indeed. Let's hope the weather is not disastrous.
Hopefully not.
would like to thank all the judges from the international arena at E. Jean-Michel Olivier, H. Speedy Park, at C. Christophe Uber, at MT Hartland, and at T. Peter Holler, and all of the writers and runners. Thank you for your assistance.
And then once it's stuck, then I think about how it's like, it's the grease then on the ear, the side wraps. Yeah, I've got it.
Well, today actually.